You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Radio Show, only on Financial News and Talk. Now live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion, delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. But before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guests and repeat offenders on Ron Siegel Radio. Welcome back, David Cordero, Chip Allsweed, AAOC, Apartment Association of Orange County.
That is correct.
That's
Good
us.
morning. Glad to have
Ron,
you with us.
It's good to be back. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. And let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls. I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan, a plan to save you money, I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number comes directly to me first. Hey, I think are we going to celebrate today? It's Halloween. Should we celebrate? I think it's Halloween day. We're going to celebrate that one. What are you doing special for Halloween? You know, I was going to go over to the Army Navy store and get a new costume this year. You know, they have tents my size, but I'm not going to do that. We could talk about it, but no, I think I'll probably just go visit the grandson and see what he's up to. And being that I'm not very funny, we're not going to do National Knock Knock Joke Day or National Magic Day. We're not going to do those. Ding Dong Ditch It? Doorbell Day? Can't do that anymore. You got the ring. No, it's not as fun. And I don't know if it has anything to do with Halloween, but today's also Girl Scout Founders Day. I didn't know she was lost. That's a whole different story. National Caramel Apple Day. I like caramel apples. There is a very good place to get caramel apples. And you could probably guess if you watch me on social media or listen to me, I really enjoy Balboa Island. So right there on the island, Marine Avenue, there's a place to get some really good caramel apples. But you're looking at caramel apples around the time of Halloween. And, you know, I'm old enough to remember when, you know, you'd get an apple at Halloween and it's a shame that we got to this sense. And this was when my kids were young. Maybe we're going back the other way, but I doubt it. Before the kids could get anything, there was two things that had to happen with all the trick or treat. Josh, you got young ones. Maybe this still happens. So when my kids were little, there was two things that happened before they were able to eat any of their Halloween candy. Number one, I got to inspect it. You know, anything that was not store-bought, we threw it away. I didn't live in a fancy community, so if there was apples there or the Rice Krispie Rice Krispie bars, unfortunately, somebody went to all the trouble to make those things, and we would throw them away. Second thing that happened, I got to take the first parts of the candy out of the bag. Right? That's a prerogative of the parents. So I'm just going to throw that out there. Apparently, Josh still has those same things going on over there. So yeah, I wonder if grandparents get any of those rights. I don't know. I think our rights are that we bring the candy, but that's different. I digress. Let's take a look and see what's going on here. The Dow Jones Industrial Average flat, up 4.57. S&P 500 flat, up 5.42. NASDAQ flat, down 15. Oil up 45 cents a barrel. It's all the quietness. It's all because of what's going to happen. The fireworks really start tomorrow. So we're going to get the ADP report early in the morning. We'll get the job openings and labor transition report. Will come out about 7 o'clock California time. We're going to get the Federal Reserve is going to tell us they're doing nothing. That's a good thing. At 11 o'clock. And Jerome Powell. Wrong button.
I got a bad feeling about this.
He'll start talking at 11:30 our time. When Powell talks, the bond market goes down, which means rates go up. Speaking of rates going up, we have another genius out here today. Are you looking at the 10-year Treasury? You got to love geniuses, right? When interest rates were at mortgage rates, were at 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 70% of the marketplace got new long-term loans. 70%. Now, the one that's supposed to be the smartest person in the land, yeah, right, Janet Yellen, right? She was an idiot when she was the chairman of the Federal Reserve, and she didn't get any brighter when she became part of the Treasury. So what does Yellen do when she has the opportunity to refinance the national debt at 0.5%? She goes with short-term debt at 0.25%. Now, I'm just going to throw this out there.
Such an idiot. Such an idiot.
The average American knew better. Now what's happening? Well, yesterday, Yellen came out and talked about what the federal government is going to have to borrow for the next quarter to stay solvent. Well, they need $77 billion worth of new borrowing and $800 billion worth of refinancing. Do you think she's going to be able to refinance it at 0.5%? You know better than that, right?
You know better than that.
But Janet Yellen doesn't. She's going to refinance it now at 10-year treasuries at 4.86. So when she could have 2 years ago refinanced at 0.5%, that's going to now cost us over the life of those notes. It's going to cost our kids $1 trillion. Think about that. $1 trillion because she doesn't know what the heck she's doing. Just throwing that out there for you. And as the only thing I think in 8 years that President Obama said that I agreed with, elections have consequences. And boy, are we paying for it now. And we'll be paying for it for years and years to come, because not only are we going to have to pay for the debt to refinance, well, did you see that the president asked for another $100 billion for war? Can we get a mean tweet back, please? Wouldn't it be nice just to have a mean tweet once again so that we can get into real life? And I know there's a lot of people out there that can't figure this out, and we're going to talk about, I guess the only way I can really put it, because I'm not going to say what the billionaire said on the Business Channel the other day. We've got a lot of idiots out there right now. You know, and when you think about some of the things that are going on, and when you talk about some of the activities that are going on from our colleges, I'm not sure I believe it's the students that are the idiots, it's the professors and the deans and the donors. Why do you put up with it? I'm going to get off my soapbox now. Well, just for a few seconds, because we're going to go to break. Then we'll talk about foreclosures and bankruptcies. They're not going to crash the market. What is happening in the market? Can they figure out what they're doing in Santa Ana with rent control? Probably not. We're going to talk about that. And end-of-year financial planning for freelancers. All that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, shame on you. But the replay is available. Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
Homeowners over the age of 62 are taking back financial control after retirement with reverse mortgages, and the Siegel Lending Team is here to help you use it to your advantage. Call Ron Siegel with Geneva Financial to receive your free information booklet with no obligation. The booklet answers all your questions, and the best part is, you still own your home. Call Ron Siegel at 1-800-306-1990 or visit ronsiegelradio.com.
Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender. Are you like many of your neighbors trying to figure out how to pay off your debts so you can retire someday? Build bigger savings. Invest in opportunities. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Debt will destroy 50% of Americans from being able to retire earlier and with more. What if you could have a guaranteed program that could show you how to eliminate all of your debt in 10 years or less, all without having to spend more each month than you spend right now? Yes, that's correct. All without spending more from your checkbook each month than you are today. Get your free analysis today to see if you qualify. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Log on today for your free analysis, rsrnodebt.com. No purchase necessary. The free analysis takes only 2 minutes. rsrnodebt.com. Ron Siegel Radio is your home and mortgage connection. Go to rsrnodebt.com. rsrnodebt.com.
Are you a renter and tired of making monthly payments? Paying off someone else's mortgage? Hey, it's Ron Siegel here to help you stop renting and start owning your dream home with amazing low interest rates. And you could potentially qualify for a $500,000 home for less than $5,000 out of pocket. So stop renting. Start owning with Ron Siegel. Learn more at ronsiegelradio.com and start owning today. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 018694552.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You make the call, 800-306-1990. Geneva's got a relatively new product that I like right now. I really like it. How about getting your mortgage paid off in half the time, liquidity to access your money whenever you need it, and no traditional mortgage payment? Think about that one. Let's see what the markets are doing, though, right now. From OBMMI, they provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates. They do not tell us APR, points paid, points received. They tell us locked rates. And that's with consumers across 42% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. 30-year conforming loans, 7.778, down a little bit. 30-year jumbo loans, they were up quite a bit yesterday, 8.095. FHA, 30 years, 7.491 up. 30-year USDA, 7.532. That's the rural areas. Generally no down payment. That was up. And thankfully, it was only up a very, very small amount. The best loan on the market, 30-year VA loan. That was up 7.458. And if you want our thoughts every morning about what's going on in the mortgage world, we have a free subscription, free to you. It costs me a little bit because I got to do the work. But all you do is go to rsrmarketminute.com, rsrmarketminute.com. We send you out our thoughts on the market as early as we can get them every business day, rsrmarketminute.com. Let's see what's going on this morning because we already looked at what went on yesterday. So this morning we're looking, the S&P 500 is up 6.2. The 10-year Treasury is down 1 basis point. Mortgage-backed securities are up 7 basis points. Pretty basically, that's pretty much flat. So not a whole lot going on there. I already told you what an idiot Janet Yellen is, so we're not going to go into that one any further. Helping bonds was a weaker than expected October CPI out of the Eurozone, with their headline inflation figure up 2.9% year over year, 0.2 less than forecasted and down from 4.3 in September. Helping the decline was an 11% drop in energy prices. Where's that going on here? Core rate was expected up 4.2% year over year, down from 4.5 last month. Additionally, some of the GDP figures out of Europe were negative, showing that many of those countries like France and Germany may be reaching the recession period. This is a global economy, so it's not going to happen over there and not here. Although, when the numbers that we get from our government, don't believe half of them because they're going to revise them a month or two later when you're not looking. Last night, the quarterly Treasury refunding figure was announced. The U.S. only needed $776 billion versus they expected $852 billion. I already talked about that one. Janet Yellen couldn't figure out what you already knew. The Bank of Japan, though, they want to increase flexibility so that long-term yields can be smoothly shaped, which means that if the Japanese 10-year rises to 1%, which is quickly approaching, they may not buy them and tolerate a yield above 1%. For decades, Japan's 10-year was negative for a lot of the time or below 0.25% for a lot of time. Case-Shiller, they came out with their home price index. They're the gold standard for appreciation, show that home prices rose 0.9% in August. That's massive. Home prices have been on the rise since January and now up 2.6% from last year, 1.5% above the June peak in home prices. Case-Shiller is continuing to set new all-time highs in home prices as of July. Index is on pace for 6% appreciation this year, but it's likely to think we may see the pace slow a little bit at the end of the year like we normally do. FHFA Home Price Index released their price index, which measures home price appreciation on single-family homes with conforming loans. Case-Shiller does jumbos and cash, so that's the difference, different than Case-Shiller. FHFA reported that prices rose 0.6% in August, still a big number, and are 5.6% year over year. They're now almost 4.7 above last year's peak and continue to set new record highs. Apartment List data. Apartment List released its October rental report showing that new rents fell 0.7% during the month and are down 1.2% year over year. Apartment List said, quote, "This is the third consecutive month of negative rent growth, and declines are likely to persist in coming months as we head into the winter," unquote. Remember, new rents are down 1.2% year over year, but renewals are up 4.5%. Blended rents are up 2.9%. Lower monthly rents should translate to lower shelter costs if and when the Federal Reserve finally looks at it. That's the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You've got the phone. Make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. So if you remember, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, Chip Allsweed was with us, AAOC. We were talking about an election that's coming up. Should have been nice and simple. And, if anybody had half a brain, which I'm not sure that we can make that assumption, we would know that rent control is not good because it means landlords increase the rent faster than they would otherwise. But let's get an update on where we stand on this ballot initiative. Do we want an update? What's up, guys? Where's it at?
Well, it is Santa Ana is, as you know, the first city in Orange County to enact rent control for apartments. Mobile home rent control has existed in other jurisdictions for some time here in Orange County, but this is sort of ground zero for what we're seeing. And it's the situation has gone from bad to worse. And we've got this recall election that's been going on in the city over one of the council members who the Police Officers Association has taken exception to and led an effort to recall her from office. Somehow the apartment industry has got dragged into this simply because of this council member's vote to support the enactment of rent control. We're now public enemy number 2 in the minds of the tenant activists and those that are against the recall of the council member. But then, of course, now we've got our lawsuit that we're filing against the city as well, challenging the entire notion of the rent control ordinance that was passed and the concerns that we have. So lots going on, and the saga just keeps unfolding with new wrinkles. And Chip, you wanted to shed a little light on kind of what's been going on just this week.
Yeah, absolutely. So at the last council meeting, they made the mention that they were going to put a ballot initiative on the November 2024 ballot to try to get rent control, I guess, passed again. Maybe they don't feel their vote was enough. So they put that on. And a lot of people thought that at that point, that's when we got involved in this recall, which, not exactly an accurate statement, but we started.
Well, that's a surprise that you don't get an accurate statement when we're getting things from the media.
Yeah.
Surprise.
Thanks, Gomer. But yeah, so we became a part of this, and suddenly we had these tenants activists talking up about how we are, like David said, public enemy number 2 in this situation.
So who's number 1? The police?
Police Officers Association.
Oh, that's real smart.
Yeah, go after the cops.
Especially the apartment Santa Ana is probably not in the 7-figure North Tustin part of Santa Ana. They're probably the areas where they really need the police protection more than anything. And they're going to go out there and try and chastise police. I think I hit this on the head.
Such an idiot. Such an idiot.
Unbelievable how these people keep doing this stuff.
The politics in Santa Ana have just gone so far to the left so quickly. Any notion of good governance and a real policy debate with people with different points of view has gone out the window. This council majority has just taken things too far too quickly, and we're now seeing the results with instability. Obviously, the POA is very concerned as far as the financial support through the budget that they're looking for, and council members that are calling into question the motives and the tactics. The thing is, public safety is the most important thing that a city is responsible for providing for their residents.
And I guess where we come in, and that is, yes, we're hearing from our members. They're concerned about what's happening to their tenants, their properties, their neighborhoods, and the police are doing all they can, but you've got a council that's trying to tell them to not get involved.
Isn't that amazing how the people that need the police the most are the ones that, give them the most harassment?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the rest of us don't need the police, because we all need the police. Right. But you get some of these idiots out there, and I guess some people call them activists. I just call them idiots. They're out there, and, one of the things that I learned from you, Chip, last time that you were here was a lot of what they're doing. They're actually part of this measure, so to speak, or this lunacy is to steal people's privacy.
Yeah. The rent registry that's out there right now. It's a big issue. The city's trying to make sure that the rent control laws are followed. That's conceptually what they're behind. But in that process, they are demanding that all landlords provide the information about their tenants, including their name, their contact information, email and phone number, and the language they speak at home. So it's beyond belief that they think, that landlords keep this information. Anybody familiar with the Fair Housing Act knows you do not keep any information about somebody's ethnicity.
Nor do you ask the question or make assumptions,
right,
which this regulation is now basically mandating landlords to do.
Well, I can see how they get the confusion there, because leading a lending company, we're not allowed to make any loans based on a person's race, religion,
national origin,
yep, sex. Yet it's on the application.
Right.
So try and figure that one out. So why is it on the application if no one's supposed to use the information?
Right. And rent registries themselves aren't new, but you typically limit the data being collected to the specifics of the unit itself. How many bedrooms, what the rent is now, what the rent was previously. You don't get into the tenant information. And now what the city is asking landlords to do in Santa Ana goes far beyond what is reasonable. And, concerns that we have, data privacy, personal information potentially being exposed if there's a data breach.
You mean there could be a data breach?
Go figure, right?
Well, when we come back, I want to talk about a different issue here, because what are these activist idiots doing, and how could it be deadly? Ooh, we'll talk about that one when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. Also, chat about foreclosures and bankruptcies. They won't crash the housing market? Really? Data. We're going to show you the real data on that. And end of year financial planning for freelancers. All that and more. Reach me anytime off air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a minute.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Are you like many of your neighbors trying to figure out how to pay off your debts so you can retire someday? Build bigger savings. Invest in opportunities. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Debt will destroy 50% of Americans from being able to retire earlier and with more. What if you could have a guaranteed program that could show you how to eliminate all of your debt in 10 years or less, all without having to spend more each month than you spend right now? Yes, that's correct. All without spending more from your checkbook each month than you are today. Get your free analysis today to see if you qualify. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Log on today for your free analysis. rsrnodebt.com. No purchase necessary. The free analysis takes only 2 minutes. rsrnodebt.com. Ron Siegel Radio is your home and mortgage connection. Go to rsrnodebt.com. rsrnodebt.com.
Hey friends, do you dream of mortgage-free home ownership? Are you aware that even if you own your home free and clear, it could still be costing you thousands per year? The Siegel Lending Team can help you generate tax-free income, accumulate family wealth, and maintain ownership of your home. By simply emailing your most recent mortgage statement, you'll receive a no-obligation real estate plan. Learn more by calling 1-800-306-1990 or email me your recent mortgage statement to PEAR@RonSiegelRadio.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions, as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Visit rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. I'm losing all my stuff in here today, Josh. I don't know what the heck's going on. Foreclosures and bankruptcies, they're not going to crash the housing market. If you've been following the news recently, you might have seen articles about an increase in foreclosures and bankruptcies. That could be making you feel uneasy, especially if you're thinking about buying or selling a house. But the truth is, even though the numbers are going up, the data shows the housing market is not heading for a crisis. Foreclosure activity rising, but less than headlines suggest. In recent years, the number of foreclosures has been very low. That's because in 2020, 2021, the forbearance program and other relief options were put in place to help many homeowners stay in their homes during the tough time. When the moratorium ended, there was an expected rise in foreclosures. But just because they're up doesn't mean the housing market is in trouble. To help you see how much things have changed since the housing crash in 2008, we're going to show you a graph if you're watching us on RonSiegelRadio.tv, ABC News and Talk AM 1490 video feed, or any of our social channels. This is from Adam, a data provider. It looks at properties with a foreclosure filing going all the way back to 2005 to show that there have been fewer foreclosures since the crash by a lot. Not even close. Just remember, when you're listening to people like Diana Olick and she talks about real estate, she's always wrong, right? The data says if you go from 100 foreclosures to 150 foreclosures, that's a 50% increase. But it's still not a lot when you think that back in 2010, there was 900,000. And we're not even close to that now. Foreclosure filings are inching back up to pre-pandemic numbers, but they're still way lower than when the housing market crashed in 2008. And today, the tremendous amount of equity American homeowners have in their homes can help people sell and avoid foreclosure. The increase in bankruptcies isn't dramatic either. As you can see, again, got another chart. The financial trouble many industries and small businesses felt during the pandemic didn't cause a dramatic increase in bankruptcies. Still, the number of bankruptcies has gone up slightly since last year, nearly returning to 2021 levels, but that isn't cause for alarm. Bankruptcies are below pre-pandemic levels as well, by about 30%. Take a look at that. They're still low. That's in part because the government provided trillions of dollars in aid to individuals and businesses during the pandemic. So let's instead focus on the bar for this year and compare it to the bar from 2019. Again, we're showing you the graph. It shows the number of bankruptcies today is still nowhere near where it was before the pandemic. Both of those two factors are reasons why the housing market is not in danger of crashing. Bottom line, right now it's crucial to understand the data. Foreclosures and bankruptcies are rising, but these leading indicators are not signaling trouble that would cause another crash. That is the Real-Time Real Estate segment brought to you by rsrmoney.com. Continue our conversation. Chip Allsweet, David Cordero are here. Apartment Association of Orange County is the company. They're out there doing some good work, watching out for people. And I'm going to throw this out there because so many people are getting into lunacy, in my opinion. I think that I got to find some more adjectives for idiots, lunatics. All these people, I mean, they don't think, or maybe they have a different sense of moral values. So here's the thought of what I'm sharing here. When you're looking at what's going on in Santa Ana, and they want to collect this database of what everybody knows and everybody has, that's challenging because do you want everybody to know who you are, where you are, what you're doing? And now you look at what's gone on overseas in Israel and Palestine and Hamas, and you've got on a lot of college campuses around the country, they're having these free Palestine. No one said anything about helping the people that got killed in Israel and tortured and murdered and raped. No one says anything about that. I wonder why that is. But let's take the story forward just a little bit. How about if you have a Jewish surname or if you have a Muslim surname? Do you want that being exposed and your address being exposed? Could that be dangerous to different organizations, different groups, different sympathizers? And yeah, the city's not going to give that information out. Well, neither was it TransUnion or Equifax, and neither was Apple and every other one of these companies that weren't going to give out your information until they were. So think about some of these. Neither was, I don't know, was it MGM Grand or was it Bally's?
Yeah,
that they just got hacked? Now, I don't know. Maybe me, but I think MGM is probably going to be a little bit more safety conscious than the city of Santa Ana.
Well, if I could maybe rest assured, at the council meeting last time, the city staff told us that they haven't been hacked, so it won't happen.
I think Bally's probably, Caesars probably said that too.
Yeah, probably at some point. And I guess they're probably not looking in the same way there.
Yeah, exactly. I bet they're spending a lot of money right now on trying to be not be hacked again. So where does the value or what is the benefit of these of an organization that's against rent control? And everybody has their opinion, their right to their own opinion.
Absolutely.
Not to go and act violently on it on either side. But where does that come to getting involved in what's going on in the Middle East?
It's interesting you bring that up. We're the apartment association. We're focused on the issues of the apartment industry in Orange County and Riverside County. That's what we focus on. So if you want to talk about any other controversial issue out there, it's not really something that we touch on. And we kind of assume that everybody follows that same set of values. Well, last week, and I will admit I was a little snarky with it, but the group that we are often up against in these discussions about rental controls, rent registries and whatnot, Tenants United Santa Ana, posted a number of stories about how we need to free Palestine and how we need to make sure that everybody knows they stand in solidarity with the people of Palestine, and provided information for people in Spanish so they can know about why they need to stand with the people of Palestine.
Because they want to promote those people that murder, rape, burn people. Oh, sounds like Nazis to me. So they're pro-Nazi group.
It's another group of, like you were touching on, these younger college kid type age people that really haven't had these issues addressed to them. And I pointed out the irony of they've been silent on the rent registry and the possible harms it could commit,
which affects the actual people that they're advocating
for and supposedly
protecting.
Right. It's Tenants United Santa Ana, not Tenants United Palestine.
So, Chip, wasn't it you, and maybe it was another guest that came on the show, that you talk about the idea of sticking with your focus?
Right.
I've had guests come on here, and in fact, I've had various chambers of commerce come on here, and when they've got a representative here, as you gentlemen are representing, you're not here representing yourselves, representing AAOC.
Right.
Right. They'll come in and they'll say, as an organization, we haven't taken a stand on X. Right. So maybe the Apartment Association of Orange County hasn't taken a stand on kids wearing masks for any of the vaccinations. Maybe have, doesn't matter. Right. But you stay out of things that are outside your sphere.
Right.
Right. You do the work as best you can for whatever side you are within your sphere.
Correct.
Isn't that the way it should be?
That's the way it should be. But what we're quickly discovering, especially as we're dealing with the controversies here in Santa Ana, these activists are not activists for a specific cause. They're activists, there is for hire. They have nonprofits that are funding their organizations. They are members and sympathizers of different groups, different issues. And so there's a muddying of the waters. You don't know what they're actually advocating for. And in a case like this, suddenly now you're seeing they're advocating for rent control and certain council members.
Whatever they got paid to get advocate for.
Absolutely.
It certainly begs the question, are they truly in it for the cause, or are they shills for different interest groups?
And they're not even from the specific area they're supposed to cover. Last night at the council meeting, the special council meeting on this recall election, there were activists from all over Orange County, but beyond. There were people from Riverside, San Diego, that had driven into Santa Ana to care about Santa Ana's recall election. So it's not only, as David pointed out, activists for hire, it's not even activists with a connection to the place they are being activists for.
That's a bigger issue. And I wonder why on some of the city council, and I know you got free speech, and I have not been a fan of certain free speech at years ago. And I used to go to some of the Anaheim city council meetings, and when council members couldn't bring their kids to a council meeting because of the vulgarity, I didn't believe that has any place in those kind of meetings. But the bottom line is, shouldn't the people that are speaking at these meetings be constituents of that area?
One would think you'd at least have a closer connection. I mean, I'm not a constituent of Santa Ana, but I represent property owners from Santa Ana.
Right. That makes
and organizations
sense.
Like that makes sense. But when you are an activist on a cause coming in from Santa Monica to talk about Santa Ana, you're there to rabble rouse. You're not there to represent someone, because there are people from the region who represent just fine.
Yeah. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And then the other one is when we've got some of these organizations that pay people just to go cause trouble.
Yeah.
And then you say, okay, well, but we don't want the police here. So don't the people that are there have an expectation of personal safety?
It seems to me that's going away. At the meeting last night, as it was concluding, there were different groups getting in each other's faces and threatening one another. And following up on the issues that were happening with this group in Santa Ana advocating for Palestine, I suddenly started getting threats on my social media personally.
Wow.
Death threats, telling me that they were coming after me, that kind of stuff. I'm not safe anywhere. And that's the tactic they resort to, because they think if they come at you that way, they can shut you up. It's not dark.
They can intimidate. Well, but it probably does work for some people.
For a lot of people, it does.
Right? You're going to start saying, something, if you're going to threaten me and my family, I'm just going to go back and hunker down. And maybe that's the reason that I just saw a report this morning that the request for gun permits in California is at an all-time high.
Not surprised by that at all.
Right? I mean, and people need to protect themselves. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with Chip Allsweet and David Cordero, AAOC, and I probably won't get our Your Credit Matters segment again. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender. Are you tired of paying rent? Are you tired of paying someone else's mortgage? Do you know qualified folks can potentially purchase a $500,000 home for less than $5,000 out of pocket? Ron Siegel can help qualified people purchase their own home at amazing interest rates. If you're tired of paying someone else's mortgage, reach out to Ron today at RonIsMyLender.com. That's RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
Are you a renter and tired of making monthly payments? Paying off someone else's mortgage? Hey, it's Ron Siegel here to help you stop renting and start owning your dream home with amazing low interest rates. And you could potentially qualify for a $500,000 home for less than $5,000 out of pocket. So stop renting. Start owning with Ron Siegel. Learn more at RonSiegelRadio.com and start owning today. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I'm delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Your Credit Matters segment today being brought to you by CreditSanitizer.com. You have a credit report and it is wrong. What are you doing about it? Credit Sanitizer has these solutions for you. Again, we've talked about this before. Get your household finances in order. RSR2step.com. RSR2step.com. Yes, you can double your interest rate, your home mortgage rate, and possibly save a lot of money and increase your net worth. You just have to understand it. RSR2step.com. That's Your Credit Matters, brought to you by CreditSanitizer.com. Continue our conversation this morning. Chip Allsweet and David Cordero, AAOC, chatting about rent, Apartment Association of Orange County. And, think about this concept, because the guys are here, and obviously they work for the rental community. Now, here's the issue. maybe some of these things are just common sense issues, right? I mean, they're talking about, when you talk about government control, can you tell me one thing the government has really done well? You know, now we're fighting the police. We've got the lunatic squad up in Washington and in Congress. You know, you got the Republicans can't figure out who their leader is for 3 weeks. What does the government do well? And you want them to control your rent, the roof over your head? Really? And now it looks like we're going to try and go and do this again. We've already had a couple of measures that have hurt people that have gone through, where we see a lot more criminals out on the street because of various ballot measures. And the misleading state of California, who writes these things, well, we're going to release criminals because it's better for the kids. You know, they're going to call the kids for the release of criminals, right? Or grandma and grandpa want shorter sentences. I mean, that's the way they write these things up there, so they can mislead us all. So now there's something called, I understand, the Weinstein Initiative. Tell us about that one.
Yeah, so the Justice for Renters Act is currently how it's being referred to by Michael Weinstein.
What's it called? The
Justice for Renters Act.
Oh, okay.
And
there's no kids in there.
No kids.
Or clean water or infrastructure or the standard BS phrases they use. But yeah, no, we're getting there.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll add more to it. Justice for renters. Don't push grandma out of her house.
Well, no one will push grandma out of their house, but what we do want to do is be able to retain our rights as business people and rental housing providers to ensure that we can stay in business.
Sure.
And that requires the ability to raise rents to keep up with your own expenses and make sure that as an investor, you're getting an appropriate return on your investment.
Well, David, I'm going to challenge you a little bit there, because you said about raise rents for a appropriate return. And my challenge is, I was just with somebody this weekend, and albeit it's not the norm. So they had they were renting a house for 5 years on Balboa Island, and the house was renting for $6,500 a month, and the owner wants to raise it to $7,000. Not a problem, right? I mean, if you're on Balboa Island, you can probably afford that, but maybe you can't. But here's the issue. They had been way below rent before, way below the rental increases. And they were good with that. Now they're here rent control, and they say, you know something? Next year, maybe I can't raise it what we were. If you want to look at something that'll give you a perfect indication, look at the Social Security increase from last year. The cost of living increase was over 8%. This year, it's under 3%. Now, the thought here, and the reason I'm challenging a little bit, David, is I think that the landlord, in many instances, is going to raise rent more with rent control than they would under non-rent control, because they know that next year maybe I can't get it, so I have to do it now.
And that would be an appropriate expectation of most people, because rent control forces landlords to seek the maximum allowable rent, not knowing next year or years out how much they're going to be able to increase the rent with that fluctuation that happens each year. And it creates greater instability and a lack of affordability.
Absolutely.
They're trying to address affordability, and yet now they're basically, with their policies, forcing those that are providing the housing to seek that maximum increase. And that's the threat of this initiative next year on the November 2024 ballot. Not only is it seeking to lower the amount of rent increases that could be sought statewide, but it's also eliminating the option for landlords when they have a vacancy, if they are under the market rate, being raise it to current levels. Vacancy decontrol is going to be taken off the table statewide. And
so think about this concept, because we're dealing with this a lot on Ron Siegel Radio right now, and you're probably dealing with it in your house. So right now, one of the biggest challenges in real estate in California is the ability of getting insurance, property insurance.
Yep.
Why? Well, because the state of California has gotten involved in it. And they're saying, well, you know something, there's a control on the amount that the insurance company can increase the cost. So what are the insurance companies doing? Leaving the state, not issuing policies. So now what are people going to do? Right? You can't get a mortgage without insurance. So the same thing's going to happen. What's going to be if a investor says, you know something, I can't get a rate of return in California. Am I going to buy in California a property to rent? Or am I going to go to Arizona or Nevada or Texas or Idaho, right? Go the other 49. I don't remember well. But you know, you can all these other states where you can get a rate of return. Do you think it's gonna cause the next problem there?
Well, it's certainly going to be one of the many next problems that we're going to see here in the housing industry in the state. And we only have to look at what's happened in Santa Ana when we talk about rent control. The number of apartment sales that have occurred since rent control went into effect in the city has plummeted tremendously. Nobody can sell and nobody's interested in buying into a city where they know the maximum amount of rent that they can collect is at most 3% per year. And it's usually going to be 80% of CPI, which means it's actually going to end up being more like 2.6 to 2.8% at current levels.
So that's going to be a fascinating scenario because the state is telling every city that you have to build X amount of additional affordable housing. And the city is saying, we're not going to let the investors make a return on that. So what's going to happen how do you bridge those two?
Your guess is as good as ours. I mean, it's
right. I mean, that's gonna be a challenge.
They're taking the state and those who own and operate rental property down a path that nobody really knows where it's going to take us, but we know it's not going to be good.
Sure.
For the longest time, we used to joke that one of the biggest problems that cities have is they don't realize that anything exists outside of their own borders, and this kind of policy is extending that to the entire state. The point we were making with the original part there about the cities is, listen, if I'm going to build in one city and it costs me X, but the city next to it costs me half of that, I'm going to just go build over there. The same is going to happen state to state. So now that California has made it so impossible to build here, those builders can just pick up and move and build in Arizona, Nevada, or any of the other 49 states that we can't remember.
So here's a prophecy of just exactly what you're saying is if you take a look in the city of Anaheim has this little amusement park, brings in millions and millions and millions of dollars and contributes about $80 million to the city of Anaheim's budget. Anaheim decides, okay, well, we're not going to help the community and we're not going to get involved in rebating any of the transit tax to the hotels. So what did the hotels do? They went to Garden Grove and built because Garden Grove said, we'll give you some of that money back to help with your expenses. Now Anaheim's left out because now you've got a lot of nice hotels, not very far. I mean, the border there is not any distance, and the shuttles work just fine going back and forth. So now all the hotels, or many of the hotels, were built over there. Now Anaheim's finally waking up and putting some back in. So the investors got to have money, not because they're dumb, right? They want a return on their investment, and they're going to put their money to work where it's maybe easiest or the highest rate of return. And those of us that want to rent somewhere, maybe we got to think about that when we go and place our vote.
You said it earlier, elections have consequences, and we need to start paying attention to that. The reason we have this group of individuals in Santa Ana that are messing things up is because we weren't paying enough attention to who we were electing or the policies that they claim to believe. And, a friend of mine often says, when someone tells you who they are, believe them. So if you really think that these policies that we're talking about are good policies, then congrats, you've elected insanity. But if you realize that these things are damaging to our communities, start voting the right way.
Well, and the other part of it, and I know we're out of time, but the other thing is generally, not always, but for the most part, people's morals go in they travel together. If you're a good individual, if you believe in right from wrong, and if you believe in raising your kids to be good citizens and get the best job that they can, get the best education that they can, to give 100%, well, they're going to probably do that in everything. Now, look at the other side of it. When you get an activist group that's promoting murdering people and raping people and burning people, do you think that they're going to be on the right side of rent control after they come up with those kind of morals? Probably not. If you want more information about what they're doing at the Apartment Association of Orange County, how do you get a hold of you?
All right. Well, our website is www.aaoc.com. Our socials, #WeAreAAOC, or you can give us a call at 714-245-9500. We are always available to work with those in the rental housing community, whether you are an owner or operator or someone who provides services to those that own and operate apartments. Great services, great staff, and we're here to advance the industry and make sure we have excellence in housing in Orange and Riverside County.
Beautiful. Appreciate you being here. And if you didn't get those numbers, which you probably didn't, give me a call because I did. Actually, Josh did. And we'll be able to get that information for you. And we'd be happy to put you in touch with them. And as always, I ask, set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Big thanks to Josh and Sean who are engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.